or just good blocking? Was that moan from joy or mocking? The towel stayed on, but the tension was thick. Was it sexy or just a camera trick? From kisses to caresses, we're breaking down the yeses. Faking it with Ariel and Morgan.
Hi, I'm Ariel Lee Cohen.
And I'm Morgan Smith.
And we are the hosts of Faking It with Ariel and Morgan.
We're two intimacy coordinators here to talk about the spicy scenes you see in film and TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're feeling a little silly today, I feel.
We are. As always, we're going to start with Hot Off the Set, where we share on-set stories with all identifying details such as names, places, and project titles changed for privacy. Then in Scene Work, we'll watch an intimacy scene in real time and rate it using our spice scale, scoring it across 3 key categories and giving it a final letter grade. We'll have notes and links in our captions in case you want to watch the scene yourself. After that, in Position to Know, we'll answer common questions we get about our work. So let's kick it off with Hot Off the Set. Okay, so I do have a hot off the set. I was working on a project and I was coming in, I was subbing for another intimacy coordinator. I think it was you. And I was subbing for you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I realized that the actors were chewing gum right before a kissing scene. And I went to offer them a mint, but they seemed like really confident about it. The characters were not chewing gum in the scene, to be clear. The actor involved in the scene stuck to his gum and did the rest of their kissing scenes with gum in his mouth, which is a choice.
Did you ever see the gum on monitor, though? Or
No.
was it they were good at hiding it? All right, then whatever, man.
I mean, no. Like, obviously, if I'd seen it on monitor, then I would have said something. But, and for people who don't know what on monitor means, while we're filming, there is a monitor where the director and other people can watch what's happening so they can see what it looks like on screen. It looked fine. It was a weird choice. And I was like, so in life, are you also kissing people with gum in your mouth?
I would never. I think like, if it's a quick peck or something, I feel like
Sure.
it's fine. If it's a lengthy kiss with somebody, I don't want them to have gum in their mouth, nor do I want gum in my mouth. It's also a choking hazard.
Yes.
Finger
Yes.
guns.
And to be clear, these were extended kisses. These weren't cute little pecks, but this was his process.
To each their own. I have actually started bringing rolling papers to set so that when folks have gum in their mouth, I can just rip out a page really quick of like rolling paper and they can put the gum in there. So for those who don't know, intimacy coordinators have what's called a kit. Most departments have some kind of a kit for lighting folks. Sometimes it's the actual lights or it's different kinds of, C-stands or I know nothing about lighting, so I'm going to I don't know. That was a bad example, but
Makeup.
a kit,
Makeup.
Yes, thank you. For example, hair and makeup might have a lot of blushes and brushes and eyeshadow and lipsticks and foundations. That's all in their kit, which comes with them to set. Set doesn't naturally have these things. So I have a mini kit, which I just walk around with on set, which has everything from Listerine to little toothbrushes to tiny barriers just in case, or little scissors. Then I have my backpack kit, which has larger modesty garments, larger barriers, different kinds of wipes, whatever.
So I have like a little fanny pack. That's my mini kit that I bring like onto the actual set. And then at base camp, I have my trolley case, which is like the same kind of case that makeup artists use that has more stuff. And the number of times people have thought it was just full of sex toys.
Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on the day.
It does.
I feel like this is leading into another story about an on-set experience. So I recently worked with an actor who had only worked with one other intimacy coordinator before. When I said I was bringing my kit to set, they were kind of confused because the last time they were on set, the intimacy coordinator was going to Crafty for gum, was going to hair and makeup for tissues, going to wardrobe for underwear and cutting them around. I was talking to this person and she was like, it's really confusing to me that you have a kit because I feel like everything you need you could find around. That's really unusual. Kits are very standardized and we all have them. So I can only imagine that one of two things occurred. One, the intimacy coordinator wasn't very experienced and therefore did not have a kit yet, which is possible, but it seemed like it was a higher level SAG production, so it's unlikely. The other possibility is that production did not want to pay for her kit fee, so she said, okay, fine, I'm not bringing my kit then, which I respect the boundaries being held there, but at the same time, I feel like the actors are going to pay for that in the end, that they're not going to have what they need to go through their process effectively if you're scrounging around looking for any item you might need from every other department. It feels a little not unprofessional and not unprepared, because if they're not paying you for it, maybe you shouldn't bring it, but maybe expense some of these things and bring them anyway.
This is still a really new position in the field. We're not in a union yet. There's not standardized rates set, and usually that would include your kit fee, or you can give an itemized list if, people are tight on their budgets. I've worked on sets where they're like, we are not paying for your kit. And in that situation, after talking to the actors, and I say, okay, if you're not going to pay for my kit, these are the things that you need for the actors to prepare for this. I always have my kit on me just in case.
Yeah.
And then if we use it, I will charge them. To me, I feel like it is a little unprofessional just because you can have that hard boundary, but also why not have it as a backup and then charge afterwards?
I always have my kit, whether or not it's been paid for.
You want to be prepared no matter what. Like early on in intimacy coordinating, I was speaking to a bunch of other ICs and they were talking about how they always bring their full kit, even if it's just a kissing scene, just so that they have everything, which, might feel like a lot, especially if we're just kissing. Like, am I going to need a modesty garment? Probably not. But I think it's more like the practice of just always being prepared just in case something comes up. Because I have been on sets where all of a sudden they're like, oh, and by the way, she's topless. And you're like,
But I've also been on set where wardrobe knows the, let's say, cup size of someone's chest and brings in an adhesive bra, and then they find it's not actually the right size. And I brought a couple of different sizes just as a backup, just in case, and those end up being used, or they're the wrong shape. One item in my kit I keep in the trunk of my car is a crash mat. It has come up like 6 times. They're having an intimacy scene where they're rolling around on the floor and no one thought to put a mat under the carpet where there's a very hard concrete floor. Or maybe it's like an if they build it, they will come kind of thing.
we're manifesting these things to happen. Yeah. It's the law of attraction. If I bring the crash mat, someone will crash.
Should we move into scene work? Morgan, I believe you have brought something for us to watch and react to today.
I sure have. The 2024 film, Love Lies Bleeding.
Oh, wait. Okay. Yes.
Love Lies Bleeding premiered at Sundance. It was named one of the top 10 independent films of 2024 by the National Board Review. And John Waters said it was his favorite movie of 2024, which I think is the most important accolade you could get.
What?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's a romantic thriller set in a 1989 rural New Mexican town. Lou, a reclusive gym manager played by Kristen Stewart, meets Jackie, played by Katy O'Brien. She's an ambitious bodybuilder who's passing through on her way to a bodybuilding competition in Vegas. They smoke cigarettes together after hours. Sparks fly. After Jackie shares her dream of winning the competition, Lou offers her steroids. After injecting her first dose, Jackie kisses Lou.
This is the bodybuilding one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. I hear you and I got you and I'm there. All right.
It's the sapphic bodybuilding movie. It's directed by Rose Glass. It's written by Rose Glass and Weronika Tafilska, and intimacy coordinated by Christine McHugh. What up? So they're making out on the floor
Sorry,
of the gym.
I forgot that we were reacting to this. That's okay.
And now we are in the bedroom. We are crashing against the wall. It is heated and physical. They are on the bed.
Oh, I love that silhouetting against the window.
Very 80s noir.
So she is topless, but we're not seeing nipple or areola until we are. Actually, are we? Yes, slightly. Touching of the nipple and areola. Touching of the muscles on the bicep. God, this is so good.
Lou pulls off her underwear, and now we're simulating oral sex.
Beautiful. Perfect positioning. Oh my God, very perfect positioning.
So good.
Like, right there. Oh, okay. And that's it.
And that's it.
This was such a perfect scene. When Lou's face is right next to Jackie's genitalia, it is very close. I am actually like mildly shocked by how close it is. I feel like either she had one hell of a barrier where there was just no concerns at all, no matter how close she got, or that anchor point was right on the inside of the thigh and there is 1 inch of difference between her mouth and genitalia.
It looks so realistic. And to paint a picture for people who are only enjoying the audio of this, we're in profile. We see Jackie's leg blocking Lou's face. So we don't see exactly where she is, but it looks like she's right on target for performing oral sex. And they're moving together, and she's moving her head in very realistic ways. It's all done very gorgeously.
I did have to just look this up because I just absolutely needed to know. And it said that they used a yoga mat. So, folks, for those who don't know, this is kind of like a proto-intimacy tool where you cut up a yoga mat where it kind of... Actually, you know what? Hold on. I have exactly what this looks like. I'm not even joking. It's framed. Hang on. I framed it, man. Yes, I framed it.
Is this like you earned your first dollar? This is your first.
For our visual viewers, you're going to love this, but these are my first cutout yoga mats. It is 2 purple, almost like a Y shape, and then a Y shape with a bulb at the end. So the one that's just the Y shape is for a vulva, and it would basically cover the top of the pelvis and then would go maybe under a little bit into that pocket that's in an underwear that you might find. The other one is actually more for any kind of simulated anal stimulation, so that this little bulbous section would be right at the rear and would still fit in your underwear, although would not fit in the pocket. This is a very effective tool. I think someone once called it a vajoga. But I don't really tend to use these much because I think there are just more effective tools out there.
You're right. It is such like an early intimacy coordinating thing. You are actually the one who turned me on to getting a silicone mat that I could cut up because it's a little more flexible, so it's more comfortable to wear if you have to make a last minute barrier.
Silicone mats are great. Also neoprene, like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch is, sometimes you're just sitting there with scissors and you just throw it on. There we go. But that makes sense because it's such a thick barrier and it's very easy to see where it is.
So she could be like in place. And when someone is simulating oral sex on a character who's supposed to have a vulva, Ariel, do you want to explain like what they're actually doing?
Yes, great question. When you are doing simulated oral sex, you would either put their cheek on what's called an anchor point, somewhere around the inner thigh of the other person. So no matter where you move your face or however you move your face, it doesn't get any closer to the other point, which will be easier to understand if you look at this visually. If you have a thick enough barrier and it's very clear where it is, you can have the other person's face on that barrier physically because there is no friction underneath it. It's just a really thick foam piece that's directly in front of your genitalia. So the nerve endings are not affected in any way. But also, it's really just about an effective head motion and sort of a scoopy scoop motion, which I've done on other episodes of this podcast.
The Scoopy Scoop.
It's just
I
a little
love
scoopy
it.
scoop.
It's so good. A Scoopy Scoop. I like to explain anchor points as it's so that it doesn't seem like the character's penis is changing size or their vulva is
Yeah.
moving around their body. Because all of a sudden you're like, wait, what? This is like a slinky that we're stretching in and out and pulling in all crazy ways. Or like the vulva is like Alex Mack when she goes liquid and is just moving.
What a like dated reference. I love it so much.
I'm a millennial.
Oh. You're exactly right. It serves a dual purpose. One is to maintain that distance
Mhm.
between face and vulva, and the other is to make sure that it's not changing locations visually on screen. So it's very helpful for pretty much all simulated sex actions, with the exception, I would say, with penetrating from behind, because there's no point where the bodies connect, really. That's another example of using a yoga mat or something along those lines. I tend to use a slightly deflated flesh tone Pilates ball for scenes penetrating from behind, but that's neither here nor there. This
Oh my
scene
God,
was
I
great.
have my Pilates ball. Wait, I can show it because we're showing kid
Yes!
things. Hold on.
Show it.
So what I've done is it just needs to be deflated enough that if you have your hands on either side of it and press in, you don't feel the other hand. So
okay.
depending on the scene and the angle, I can inflate it more if we need more space between them. But if we need to really hide it,
For our non-visual audio listeners,
Yes.
basically there's about 2 inches of blue orb between her fingertips
of yoga ball.
of yoga ball. The flesh tone one tragically only comes in 1 flesh tone, which is not accurate to our world experience, which is
Yeah.
frustrating.
Blue, because I was like, if I can't have them all, then I'm going to have nobody except maybe Mystique.
But let's get back to this movie. All right.
Okay. The intimacy coordinator, Christine McHugh, just to give credit where credit is due, gorgeous job of intimacy coordinating this scene. Part of the reason why I chose this scene, and one of the things I loved about this movie, is it really celebrates a muscular female body. Love that Lou grabs Jackie's bicep right after touching her breast. I love going from one softer, curvier part of the body that we usually see people grabbing, like on female forms, and then going for this huge jacked like bodybuilder bicep with the same level of sensuality. I love how active the two of them were. It almost felt like they were wrestling in like a very sensual way, because it could have been like a soft, sweet scene, which I think a lot of people do when we're depicting 2 women having sex. And I liked that this didn't do that.
I loved so much about the things you just said.
Thank you.
It kind of brings me back to our conversation when we were talking about Sinners, that we're showcasing people of color and their bodies to their best extent, and in forms that we're not used to seeing on screen that often. Even the touching of the breasts, it sort of went from one and curved around and then moved to the other as the head is moving down. It's very
Yes.
exciting. All right, next we're going to get into the Spice Scale, our not-so-scientific way of rating intimacy scenes based on consent and power dynamics, technical craft and coordination excellence, and heat factor. Each category gets a score from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest. Then we add it all up to give the scene a final letter grade. So first, we're going to start off with consent and power dynamics, or how the scene depicts words.
Thinking
How
about
the
those
scene-
pecs, huh? Thinking about those
yeah.
pectorals.
Oh my God, Freudian slip. How the scene depicts consent and power dynamics in the story, if known
the movie as a whole does a really good job with consent and power dynamics. With this scene in particular, it does feel very consensual. There's not really a moment where they're like, oh, do you want to have sex with me? And I feel like a lot of times when people are like, when we're talking about consent, they're imagining, I would like to have sex. Would you like to have sex? Yes, I consent to
Yes.
having sex. And that doesn't have to be the case. There was a slow enough build. They could check in with each other. I actually really loved the little bit in the beginning where they're in the gym and Lou is kneeling on the floor and then Jackie, played by Katy O'Brien, gets on top and straddles her. And I loved that because she's physically larger. She's more muscular. We would think, oh, she's going to like pick up the other person who's, Kristen Stewart is tiny and just throw her on top of her. And I really liked it. It was like a softening, made the moment very sweet.
In film, we are visually taught that folks with muscles need to be the aggressor in the situation, usually pertaining to men, but muscles equals dominance. And I think that this is really beautiful in that she is in the more submissive position, lying on her back. Not to say that Kristen Stewart doesn't have muscles as well in this scene or in general, but Jackie clearly has much more definition in that regard. I love how you described it as a softening. It's really nice. And even it feels like a softening, even though in the last shot of that scene, like a vein is tightening in the bicep in that
Which
moment.
I should mention is, so there's a magical realism to the film that builds very slowly, and this is the very first iterance of it that we get. So the steroids cause the veins to start popping and moving, and at first it's like, oh, that seems like a little exaggerated, and then it gets to a point where it's huge and like taking over her whole body. So it was like the seed.
And I like that it's almost an allegory for the sexual blossoming that is occurring between the two of them. The more muscular she becomes, the more their intensity and attraction grows to one another until the end, which we don't need to spoil for everyone, but yeah. Anyway, just some interesting thoughts, which let's move on. So, wait, what do we want to give? What do we want to, I say, I mean, it's very consensual. Power is very, very specifically, 5. Okay.
5.
Great. Next is technical craft and coordination excellence, the staging, film coverage, modesty, protection, choreography, and overall execution of the scene.
I feel like we already talked about this a bit.
I think so too.
I'm going to give it a 5. It was amazing.
Yeah, 5. I want to give it a 6, but I will give it a 5 because we have limited ourselves in this way.
So slippery slope, then we start giving, it's a 50.
Literally, we have made this very arbitrary amount of points that are able to be given to each of these things. We cannot stray. It opens the floodgates. So let's move on to heat factor. The level of erotic charge or sexual tension in the scene. 5.
I mean, 5.
Hot as hell.
So hot.
I got so distracted in the beginning. I literally forgot we were supposed to be reacting to it, and my mouth was just open. And I'm like,
it's
staring
so good.
in silence.
Okay, so one of my friends talked about this recently. She said she started to look at film and TV projects as, instead of made by a woman or a man or whoever, is it a project that loves women or doesn't love women? Like, does it celebrate women? And I think this movie is such a great example of that. And I think why it resonates so much with us, because we're both queer women, it felt like it's celebrating women. This didn't feel like it was the male gaze at all. It's so good because we don't get a lot of that.
There is a similar concept in the fashion industry, which is when there are male clothing designers, do they love the female form? Or do they not like the female form and are making clothes anyway that don't necessarily structure the female to look her best, but rather just creates art on top of them? It's so clear even in the script when the script loves women. But you can also have a script that doesn't actively love women, and then the director's vision for it shifts that. So it really is about that collaborative process. Does the film as a whole love women? Sometimes it is hard to see in that pre-production process, but you can get a really good vibe from the director in those initial calls to see if that's what the production is going for.
And to be clear, when we say, does this project love or celebrate women, that doesn't mean, are they depicting them in a fully positive light all the time? You can show complicated women. Hacks does this really well, too, if you want to talk about another example.
I love Hacks.
Love Hacks. I love Hacks. And I love Jean Smart's character on there. And she's complicated and messy and has flaws, but the show really celebrates her as a person.
It's that caveat of the Bechdel test where if the woman is replaced by a lamp, does the story change at all? And if not, it doesn't pass the secondary Bechdel test.
Oh my God, I've never heard of that before. That's so funny.
It's so real, though, because for folks who are not aware, the Bechdel test is this very basic test where there have to be two named female characters who have a conversation not about men at any point in the film. And then it passes the Bechdel test, and you'd be shocked by how many do not pass. For example, the entirety of the Star Wars saga and Lord of the Rings. This is the sort of secondary, less important, less known caveat. And I find that is a really good quick tell to see if it's going to be a project that celebrates women or not.
Yeah. There are similar tests for people of color, queer folks that have their own names I can't remember right now. But it's like, it's such a low bar to pass. Just one conversation, two people with names talk about something other than either men or white people or straight people. And it's wild, like how many don't. This definitely passes that test.
Side note, I am starting to see films throw in a random conversation that has nothing to do with the film just to pass the Bechdel test and then throw it away.
Their heart's in the right place. They're on the right track. We still want it to be part of the story.
We want it to matter to the narrative and move the plot forward.
Yes.
But anyways, this did a perfect job. Obviously, this got an A. I want to say A+, but it got an A.
Got an A. This is our second A.
Yay!
It makes so much sense to me that our first two A's would be Sinners and Love Lies Bleeding. Those were incredible.
To be fair, we are a little biased. We have to be. But both of those are the only scenes we've worked on so far or reacted to that have had intimacy coordinators.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck, I didn't even realize that. Shit.
Yep. But it just goes to show, I mean...
What a difference it makes.
Yeah. So...
Wow.
But we are biased.
Okay. We are biased. We are biased. I mean, we're not trying to only give A's to scenes that were done by intimacy coordinator because there are great intimate scenes that happen before there even were intimacy coordinators.
Absolutely. Yes.
But look what happens when you have one.
A's all the time. All right. And of course, this is just our opinion, our humble opinion.
Folks, we're at our final segment, Position to Know, where we'll answer common questions we get about our work. And at some point, maybe questions from you. So if you have questions you want to ask an intimacy coordinator, you can hit us up. Ariel.
Yeah.
What's a question you get a lot?
What's the craziest item in your kit?
Ooh, fun.
I think crazy is really relative as a term, but I think the craziest item I have is, besides the Pilates ball, I have a tag gun in my kit. So a tagging gun is when you go to a department store and there is the price tag attached to the clothing and it's that little clear, or maybe it has a color, like plastic tag with the T's at the end. In a pinch, if something gets ripped and we're on a closed set and wardrobe is not present, sometimes it's really nice to just have a tag gun in your kit that you can just throw between the fabric and quickly in a clear format, just like tighten it together. No one needs to sew anything. No one needs to be pricked by a safety pin. It's quick and it's easy, and usually it does the trick.
So you've told me about that before. It's so genius. I need to get one. I totally forgot why you had it when you first said it. And my former comic brain was like, do you tag the actor so you can remember who's who?
Right in the ear. Right in the ear. I never remember their name.
Whenever people ask me what the weirdest thing in my kit is, I feel like I always disappoint them because they're wanting like whips and chains and a latex suit, and that would be props
and wardrobe. Yeah.
That's props and wardrobe. That's not our, like, we might coordinate with them on that, but we're not providing that to set. So, the craziest thing I have, actually, I have a sports cup that's meant for a penis. Because I did a scene once where someone was going to grab another actor's groin, and that specific actor wanted like a lot of extra protection so that there would be as little sensation as possible, which is totally understandable. So I went to Dick's Sporting Goods, which is fitting. And
Hey!
And now I just have a sports cup.
All right, cool. Your question?
I feel like mine is going to be the weird thing in my kit. I stole yours.
You stole mine? You bitch. No, okay. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Faking It.
As always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes drop every other Wednesday. Hump Day.
If this was good for you, the best way to support our show is to follow the podcast and leave a quick rating or review. It takes less than 30 seconds, and it really helps us.
Tell one friend who loves spicy movie secrets about us. Find us on social media at Faking It the Pod.
If you have questions you want us to answer about intimacy coordination, email us at fakingitthepod@gmail.com.
Stay real, fakers.
Faking It with Ariel and Morgan is produced independently by Ariel Lee Cohen and Morgan Smith, edited by Ariel, and social media and branding by Morgan. Our theme song is Faking It by Suno AI until we get monetized, so feel free to send us a new one. Have questions, thoughts, or media recommendations? Hit us up at fakingthepod.com. Find us on all socials at Faking the Pod and head over to our Patreon for bonus content. Credits for the film or show we reacted to are in the episode caption.